Certainly, a lot of the available techniques to reduce carbon emissions are quite expensive. Carbon capture and sequestration is not a cheap enterprise.
What is carbon sequestration?
Carbon capture and sequestration, frequently known as CCS, is a process where CO2 is captured from an industrial source, either a power plant or a fertilizer plant, and then compressed and put into a pipeline and transported by the pipeline to a location where there's a suitable geologic storage site. The CO2 is then injected beneath the ground in a highly compressed state where it behaves like a liquid rather than like a gas, and is injected into formations that have been selected because there's every reason to expect that they will be able to retain the CO2 on a permanent basis.
What kind of impact could it have? Let's just take coal-fired power plants, which produce a lot of CO2.
According to the International Energy Agency, by mid-century, CCS has the potential to deal with somewhere between 15 and 55% of the CO2 that needs to be taken out of the atmosphere in the next 50 years. Some people estimate, roughly speaking, that the CCS industry by mid-century will be handling a volume of material that's in the same order of magnitude as the existing oil and gas industry. You can't do carbon sequestration in just any geologic setting. You have to pick the right site. And then secondly, it's not doable unless the economics are right. That's a perfect illustration, in fact, of why a trading mechanism, a cap and trade system, is better than a carbon tax. Under a carbon tax, the people in the favorable geology will end up paying the same amount of tax as someone in unfavorable geology. But if they can trade their obligations back and forth, the people with the good geology, the people who can sequester at the lower cost, can end up sequestering their own CO2 as well as someone else's. So the overall cost to society of reducing CO2 is less in that circumstance than if everyone paid the same tax.